And welcome. I'm Adri Gregan, and I am back for more Jujutsu Kaisen. Today we're hopping into Season 3, Episode 5, and last time was a doozy. It was a doozy among doozies, actually. A lot of people in the comments said many consider it to be one of the, if not the best episode of the show so far, and honestly, I can absolutely see it. It's definitely up there, if not topping the list. Court's still out on that one, and obviously Season 3 still has several more episodes to go. It's got 10 more episodes I have to get through, so I'm not sure if it'll hold that crown, but for now I like its chances because there was simply so much that happened. It was beautiful from an animation standpoint, from a direction, just from the actual presentation of everything and the everything that was being presented, the story of that Akutami presented us with. And more important than any of that, at least to me though, are the themes and the way that this episode finally brings a lot of different things full circle in more ways than, frankly, I can talk about in a reasonable amount of time. So that's why after I finish Season 3 and in between Season 3 and 4, I'm going to be dedicating a whole separate video towards talking about this idea of karma, of responsibility, and of what Jujutsu and curses really are in this world. I'm going to be briefly talking about it here. You're going to get kind of a rough draft of me going over the literal bulletin list of points that I'm going to make about it, but obviously it's going to be changing a lot throughout the season. So after the season's done, you can look forward to that separate video that's going to be a lot more polished, and it's going to actually have a script to it. So kind of like a mini video essay. But in the meantime, enjoy the my developing thoughts on it, literally one episode after it was made aware to me by Max Godard, but more on that in a minute when we go into the comment spotlight. Now, today's pre-up prep is going to be pretty long. I actually heard some comments that a lot of people want my pre-up preps to be longer, so I'm going to be diving a little bit more into the comments and things that I realized about the episode, and I'm going to make them a little bit longer. I'm going to focus more on the comment spotlight, and you're basically going to get more bang for your buck, and because that seems to be what people like. And if you do like it when it's a little bit shorter, if you want me to find some middle ground, let me know your feedback. But for now, we're going to just talk a little bit more about 3-4, because like I said at the end of that episode, there's a lot of it that I didn't think about talking about that I realized after the fact that you commenters were kind enough to point out to me, and stuff that I was going to talk about during the reaction, but I honestly just forgot because the episode just blew me away that much. Now, for this first part, we are going to be talking about the namesake of the episode and of the largest symbol of the episode, namely the reeds that were present in the Maki Mai scene. And with this part's going to be kind of a mini comment spotlight. It's going to be featuring our resident cultural elucidator, Alex, who pointed out the quite brilliant significance of a title of the episode that was not quite carried over in the translation, as it often is, because, terms don't really translate perfectly between languages, and there are often entire concepts in some languages that just aren't present in others. So this is why this community and engaging these communities can bring out so much value of these shows, because there are things that you just might not come across yourself and probably won't, frankly. So what Alex brings to the table here, he brought a lot of things, but the thing I'm going to spotlight here is the title that, according to Crunchyroll, is something like Perfect Preparation, which isn't wrong per se, but wholly leaves out so much of the cultural and symbolic significance of it, and what role it played in the actual episode itself. So when Mai and Maki are talking, there's a lot of geese flying around, and they are holding little reeds in their mouths. When Mai hands her gift to Maki, she gives her sister a reed. And we see that when Maki wakes up in the real world, it is the sword, right? Basically a recreation of the cursed tool that I believe it was what Toji used against Geto's rainbow serpent thing back in the Hidden Inventory arc. So we had this sword, which is perfect. That's going to be a whole other tangent if I start talking about Maki Toji shenanigans here, but we had this reed and these reeds that these geese are holding. And for us Americans who are watching the Crunchyroll subtitles, that was kind of lost on us for the vast majority of us, if not pretty much everyone but Alex, maybe two other people. And if you're reading the comment here, if you haven't before, then you're probably going to see where I'm going with this. The actual title of the episode is a reference to biting or holding a reed in one's mouth. Specifically geese doing it, which is why we saw the geese in the episode. Coming from the Chinese book Huainanzi. I'm sorry, I'm decent at pronouncing Japanese, but Chinese is just a whole nother level. This is where we get in the perfect preparation, where the geese basically have these reeds in their mouth as sort of this process, sort of this preparation for their migration. They're resting. Now, this is more legend than biology fact, but what matters is the fact that the Goose Memorial Offering, another reference to this legend that's more specific to the coastal region of Tsugaru, according to Alex, this goose bathing is again about the reeds that they're using to rest before their journey. But they rest them on the tree. So basically they rest these reeds on the beach, and then they retrieve them when they're about to return, again, to rest. But those that do not survive the initial migration do not come back for their reeds. So they stay on the beach. Villagers find them, and they find the reeds of the goose that never came back for them, and they burn them to honor the geese that have passed. It's kind of a beautiful story. Beautiful and sad. I say more beautiful than sad because it's less about the tragedy of the geese that never came back and more about the ceremonial honoring of those who are no longer there, carrying on their legacy. Or more than that, just remembering them and not letting them just get swept up by the waves, right? Similarly, we have Mai, who decides to basically leave her reed behind. She's not going to come back for it. She gives it to Maki, and Maki basically carries on her spirit with her. It's the main motivation for her for what she does to the Zane clan. She has her own hang-ups, of course, but more than that, we hear it over and over, her hearing Mai's line repeated in her head as she's going through her act. We hear Mai say, "Destroy everything," because that's what Maki's focused on, more than her own personal feelings. More on that in a minute. So it's really cool, symbolic referencing and incorporating into the story, as JJK is really good at doing. I'm sure my way of explaining it was absolutely awful and butchered Alex's much more poetic phrasing, but it's right there, so you can read it. And better yet, go into the comments, read his full comment, because there's so much more in it that I'm not going to highlight here because I have an actual comment spotlight to do today. Check it out because he definitely deserves it. It's incredible. Now, there's two more important things that I wanted to bring up in this prep, at least before I go into my large spiel about how my entire perspective of the show is completely flipped on its head thanks to Max Godard. Again, we'll get to that soon enough, but the main points I wanted to bring up before that are one thing that I mentioned during the reaction that I wanted to talk about post-episode, but I completely forgot because the rest of the episode just completely floored me. This is one of them. This is Maki's dad. After Maki breaks his Ogi's sword and then is surprised when he basically uses his technique, uses Jujutsu to effectively increase his range and still strike at her, even though she thought, I broke the sword, that should limit his reach. It's a really cool expression of how each of them see cursed tools and how they see weapons and Jujutsu, basically. Maki, of course, doesn't have Jujutsu like techniques, really. She just has cursed tools, and therefore she's very reliant on them. She's very practical, very pragmatic, and she's in a large way dependent on her tools because she has to be. She doesn't really have a choice. On the other hand, Ogi is, of course, a sorcerer, right? He's not a swordsman. As he says here, he's a sorcerer. He uses weapons as ways of supplementing his power and of utilizing his technique better, and basically using this synergy to make his fight stronger, make him more well-rounded as a person. Which is kind of interesting too, because this reminds me of back in episode 2, I believe it was, when Naoya basically dismisses Ogi and the other uncles basically for how they focus on their weapons and how basically reliant on their weapons they are when they should be sorcerers first. Naoya dismissed them for this, but here we see that it's not quite as black and white as Naoya thinks. Shocker, I know. Ogi obviously does use his sword, and it's an essential part of his fighting style. He's basically a samurai. I'm pretty sure he is a samurai. In all respects of the word. Samurai, I guess, are hired by people. Semantics. I don't think anyone but Alex are really bothered by using that term there. Slightly incorrectly. But he clearly does not rely on his weapon in the same way that his daughter does, Maki does. Because the Zane clan is first and foremost about sorcery. It is about jujutsu. So, yes, he uses weapon. Yes, it is basically his entire fighting style is bent around it. If he were to completely lose his weapon, that might be an issue. But to rebut Naoya's looking down on Ogi here, Maki basically tried to take advantage of that. She tried to break the blade, and he used his cursed energy to finish the job anyways. And that's such a great way of highlighting the contrast between these two people, between these two perspectives, those who do not have jujutsu and those who do. And it's also a great way of highlighting an easy misconception to have about Maki that to be completely honest, I had myself a little bit. I think I and probably a large portion of the audience had an overinflated image of how competent Maki was in comparison to the grade 1 sorcerers, some of the strongest people we know here. As a reminder, in the Shibuya incident, Maki did absolutely basically nothing. She was basically just a hindrance in the fight against Dagon. That's not to say Maki is weak. That is to say that the power levels, if you would, the difference in skill and ability of those who have Jujutsu sorcerer techniques and those who do not, it is an impossibly wide gap, right? Maki is very strong. She is very determined. She is incredibly spirited and has done more than any reasonable person could expect from in her position. However, that is not enough. Because without a curse technique, she is simply in a different playing field. Until she loses Jujutsu entirely, right? And again, we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm going to keep teasing it because we'll get to it. I'm really excited to talk about it, but we've got to get through all this other stuff first because there is just too much to talk about. So that's why I really like this interaction here and how this played out. As short as it was, it just highlights a lot of really important facts and a lot of important symbolic and character-focused quirks, basically, and interactions between these characters. Now, the other big thing I want to talk about with this episode was talking about Maki's mom. We started with her dad, so now we're going to go with her mom. And there's several different things I could use here, but I think the part that I'm going to highlight here is this. This very brief exchange after all the fighting has happened. Maki asks her mom, why you told me to come back. Back when I was walking to the seal, to the Zane clan weapons storage, basically, and why you told me not to go. Now, the answer to this is pretty straightforward, right? As much as disappointed as Maki's mom is, and as much shame as she feels for what Maki and Mai have done, basically, to her reputation in the Zane clan, they are still her daughters. Maki is still her daughter. She still loves her and wants her to succeed and resents the Zane clan for what it did to her, right? And how it treated her. She knew that if Maki kept going into the vault, Ogi would be there and would kill her. That's the straightforward answer of why she said that. But what makes this scene so interesting and really worthy of discussion here is all the subtle nuance of not just this scene, but pretty much every scene that Maki's mother is in and how she acts in each of them. This scene in particular I wanted to highlight because Maki's mom does not say anything basically here. Yes, you could say she's like a deer in headlights, she's afraid, but more poignantly, and something we also see back when Maki is going into the vault, Maki's mother has things she wants to say. She has opinions she wants to get out. She has guidance she wants to provide with her for her children, her daughter. But she also has heavy, unerasable socialization from being in the Zane clan. Specifically that women should know their place. That women should not speak up, that they should fall in line, and that they should allow everything that's happening to continue happening. They should just be a part of the machine and allow these gears to continue to spin. Now, as probably one final teaser for the big discussion we're going to have in a minute, I'm not going to be talking too much about the Zane clan and about like the karma they built up quite yet. This part is mainly just about the gender roles in the Zane clan and how it basically affects the psychology of these characters. We see with Maki when she's fighting against Naoya, she assumes a sumo pose role, right? And she says, Daite yaru yo, I'll give you a big ol' hug, Naoya. She takes on these like masculine qualities and she assumes a sumo pose, which is practically sacrilege for women, which just looking at like the subject matter, you can't help but compare this back to how the Zane clan sees like Maki's mother, right? Don't speak up. You are a woman, this is your place. Maki's mother is complicit. She's not, I would not go so far to say she is especially guilty, and especially not nearly as much as like Ogi and a lot of the other Zane clan heads, and not the heads, but the leads, the people who are at the top. But she is still complicit, and of that she is definitely guilty. Whereas Maki actively goes against these norms, defies the Zane clan, and does basically her own thing, charts her own path, and she is victorious. So again, just incredible nuances, not just this like big feminist message. It's layered and it's complicated, and there's these different like levels of how guilty are you and of what exactly are these roles and should these roles be there. This story doesn't beat you over the head with a moral, and it doesn't try to say more than it should. It says exactly as much as it wants to and leaves the rest for you, the viewer, the audience, to debate and discuss, which is exactly what I think a piece of art should do. So yeah, this is the other big spotlight for the episode that I wanted to bring attention to. There's one final thing I wanted to bring up real quick before we get into the episode, the comment spotlight and my real big spiel, even though this one is already big enough. And this one is less of a discussion and more of a question. Not necessarily one I want answered, it's partially rhetorical, but also just food for thought. Mai sacrificing herself is basically her playing into and giving her sister the biggest edge she can using the rules of Jujutsu, right? Of sorcery, of the give and take nature of cursed energy of the Jujutsu world. So she is Maki's connection to cursed energy because they were twins, is the theory that either of them have any cursed energy at all. If it weren't for Mai, Maki just would have been basically another Toji. So with her dying, not only does she create a death binding vow, which makes her the cursed tool incredibly powerful, or far more powerful than it would have been, but it also allows her to take the cursed energy with her, since she is the tie basically between Maki and cursed energy. So with Mai's death, the cursed energy leaves too, leaving Maki as effectively perfecting her in a sense. I use that word very loosely, of course. But this is where I'm going to pose the question, and I'm not going to give an answer for this. I want this just to be a question out in the open. Given the nature of this give and take, and of the idea of one sibling needing to pass away for the other to become complete, I wonder what would have happened if Maki had died. What would that have meant for Mai? Food for thought. It turns out my pre-up prep is already like 20 minutes long, so after teasing it all that much, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to leave you on a cliffhanger. I'll save the discussion of Max Godard's comment for the separate video. I'm going to be making a separate video after this episode, and I'll make a longer, like fully scripted one after the end of the season, like I was still planning on doing. But there'll just be, I guess, 2 standalone videos talking about this subject, and you get to like maybe compare and contrast them. But sorry about that. If it's any consolation, Max, this just means you get a whole video dedicated to yourself, and it's probably going to be even longer than this one's pre-up prep combined. And I guess that means that Alex's comment became the comment spotlight of the day, even if I only took a snippet of it. So we'll just go with that because this has gone on for quite a while, and I know you guys want to see a longer pre-up prep, but 20 minutes I think is probably going to be the cap, at least for now. Especially because the thing I was going to talk about was, like I said, going to be so long. This is just going to be unreasonable. So we're just going to go ahead and get to the episode, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty to talk about afterwards. So if for nothing else, for the sake of my voice, we're just going to hop into it. Now, some important things to note before I get started with the episode. This is going to be a full reaction. I don't edit them down. However, for copyright, sometimes the music will be muted or distorted, and also the visuals are going to have filter on it. If you want the unfiltered, undistorted reaction, then that's going to be on Patreon for $2 a month. You get access to all my reactions unfiltered. Another thing you get on Patreon is bonus votes for polls that are going on, because there's a poll going on right now. I'm a little bit behind schedule because of unforeseen circumstances, but the JJK replacement poll for the show I'm going to be watching alongside Freerun as my main show that poll is going to be open for another 2 days. I will be closing it probably on noon. Yeah, I'm going to be closing it on noon of this Saturday, a few hours before my live stream is going to begin, because I'm going to hop back on with the live streams. So if you want to go ahead and place your vote, if you haven't already, go ahead, do that now. If you are on Patreon, if you aren't, join Patreon to get bonus votes for the poll. If you are on Patreon, let me know what you voted for so I can give you those bonus votes that you earned for being a supporter. And thank you for that. I'm going to put all that out of the side, though. We're here for JJK, so we're going to hop into it. Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 3, Episode 5. Looks like we're starting with Parkour Panda. And we're going to see what's happening with the principal, who is also... Hold on, what was that? Yaga, who is sentenced to death as well. It is possible to have them act more autonomously than other forms. A core? Oh, okay. Like a serpent in Fate. Yeah, the core it has 3 cores, but it's something really special. Oh. Just because of your feet. Yeah, you can do even more. Which is really useful, but also really dangerous. There's our resident rock star. Or is he just protecting his surrogate son? Masamichi. We know Masamichi? Who is this? Oh, Magamichi is Yaga. Okay, it's the principal. That makes sense. One of his little dolls. I don't seem to recall any of them talking, though, so maybe this isn't one. Maybe this is a... Oh, no, this is probably a similar puppet to Parkour Panda, because it's like talking and stuff, whereas his typical ones don't. They're a lot less autonomous. Wow. Nice. Let's go. Look at that. No one's full coward. Oh, in the opening. Nephew. My little sister. Is this? Oh, Takeru is the little guy, right? Wait, that was your nephew? Wait, what? Like his spirit or? Oh, the cut back when he was a human. So these. Oh. So these used to be people, the autonomous ones. Oh, that was beautiful. That animation. Of course, she recognized him immediately. Oh, they were talking about him, but that's why they're like hiding away in their own little paradise. Reuniting them. Wow. My son. That's the secret they gotta know. It's what he simply can't afford to tell them. Ooh. Is that... Yep. School of Rock principal himself. Now, is he on Yagi's side or not? I'm gonna guess not. Don't tell me the fight's already over. Oh. Yikes. Because he doesn't have his puppets with him. Yeah, he doesn't really stand a chance. Okay. It's a copy, basically. That's so interesting. Oh, that was... Yeah, so much room for... Oh my god, the blood. It's like organ supplementation, but on a whole nother level of messiness. Why did you make me do this? That knowledge is a curse. Oh. Jeez. Oh, our poor panda. Yeah, he's not interested in fighting right now. I'm more worried about protecting. Yeah. I mean, they weren't the closest of friends from what I could tell. They certainly butt heads, but... Oh. Panda datte nakunda. The dead bug. Oh my god, what a freaking heavy start to the episode. Oh. Rest in peace, Principal Yaga. Talk about intense. It's that part in the opening. So, God, there's so much that was already talked about in there. So basically, Principal Yaga has several different puppets. He's got the ones that he summons like servants and fate, basically where they feed off of him, and he does it basically short term. Then he's got the autonomous ones, the conscious ones that have the cores in them that basically can supply their own cursed energy. And he gets those souls basically through seeing basically a body, someone who's passed away, and taking the information of their soul by reading their body's information, and basically 3D printing a new soul, and then putting it into a body and just messing with it until it works. Again, like a very, like similar to organ transplantation with several more levels of messiness. And then, yeah, we're getting into this. And then Panda is basically just that, but a whole nother level because he has 3 cores. So much. And now we're gonna see what Yuji's doing. Secrecy is relative. And apparently this guy is tough enough that Yuta has quite a bit of respect for him. So this is gonna get rough. Incognito mode. Yeah, it's complicated. Perception's more important in this case. He's a strong good for nothing. Kind of like you, Yuji. Ooh, that's a fun shot. That was really cool. I'm gonna look at that after the episode. Oh, they're gonna find him through underground fighting. Most important rule of Fight Club. Yeah, gotta play the part. He's gonna have a lot harder trouble playing the role than Megumi will. I mean, Megumi's just already got his poker face on point, right? It's just kind of how he is, his natural RBF. Okay. Best of luck, Megumi. Oh, love this OST. This sound in the right side, on the left side. Okay. Play your cards carefully. Ooh. Oh, that's so fun. That's some great character acting. Just hitting it while you're walking. We've all done it. We all do it. That's her biggest time crunch right now. Getting her and people who don't want to participate out of it. We need to change the rules to do that. Really don't have time to waste. Nice, now the camera's in the... There's some great... The episode director here is just absolutely just doing a great job. Don't want to freak him out, yeah. It won't be as exciting. But Megumi would really have trouble. Though he is a little better hand to hand now. Of course. God, that guy is massive. practically bonking his head against the doorway. Beatdowns and fixed bouts. Okay, so it's like WWE. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's make a show. Bunch of different posters. Okay, let's see who it is. Oh, that lighting is beautiful. Oh no. No way. Oh, this is gonna be great. Is he infiltrating too? What? A fucking panda. Dangerous Hiratama boy. It's Parkour Panda. I wonder if he's gonna turn on his Parkour Gorilla first ass form. Okay. Let's see it. Whoa. Those eyes. Keen, I assume that's our guy. Oh, he's just a regular. Okay. But Yuji doesn't play around. It's been a long time since these two have gone toe to toe. Oh, and they're like whispering, talking to each other. Oh, how could you? Oh, I want to see these guys like actually fight it out. Especially because Yuji's incredibly strong even without curse technique. So these two could actually just have a good show with a genuine fight out. Ooh, from the shoe. Very nice. Ooh. So fun. So fun. Ooh. That's a show, all right. Only 2 weeks. Oh my god, the spinning. The love cats. It's like fighting against that one guy who inverse the strong and weak hits. Except these are actually. Oh, this is so fun. This is so fun. After the last episode, this is such a great palate cleanser. I'm calling Hida. He's a panda. What do you want from him? Intentionally fighting in 3 dimensions. Yeah, going up into the sky. It's useful. Mm-hmm. Stop trying to sound cool. Kirara. Assume that's her, yeah. Weird flex, but okay. I assume that's your current girlfriend. Yeah. Can't fight your way through everything. Ooh. Presumably that's Kirara's technique. Okay. What? Okay, whatever. Forget about it. I'm not gonna linger on that. Yeah, just a matter of time.
でもあいつ嘘下手だろ。
下手っていうか、嘘を作って発想が出にくいタイプですね。
Physically incapable of it. Similar to Tanjiro in that sense.
入った時点でアジトを速攻こっそり制圧。二人が話す時間を稼ぐべきだと思う。
それは
大丈夫。寝ててもらうだけだよ。カメラの位置と視覚は把握してる。
見張りの人数
No, on a regular.
入り口4、屋上以外の各フロア2だ。
いけますね。懸念事項はキララさんの術式ですね。
もうそれは仕方ない。ワープのように虎杖を出したり
That's
仲間を入れたり
certainly putting on a show.
あかりの説得は諦めよう。
ゆうちゃんまだ高一なんだ。若いね。
ゆうちゃん、
金ちゃんは中学ダブってるんだよ。
なんか嬉しそうっすね。
まあね。金ちゃんが久しぶりに熱くなってるからね。
Hmm.
私はね、熱い金ちゃんが大好きなの。
Kept from opening to closing the door. Little things that are just so fun.
あることをするだけで月収100万円にって言われて信じるか。
Okay. I get to meet him fully.
それはあること次第だろ。
だがそのあることを知るには20万の情報商材を買わなきゃならん。
$10,000.
それは信じらんないな。
そう、お前が感じた通り、これは典型的な詐欺だ。
The way they're moving, so smooth.
金を手に入れる。普通に考えればわかることだが騙される。
But it's so tempting
なぜか。
because it just could be true.
熱？
騙す側も騙される側も持っている。ここで人生変えて
Passion driven by money that can change their
熱
lives.
に浮かされて人は判断を誤る。だが熱がなければ人は恋一つできない。
Yep, it's just like fire. Just perfect for the word, right? For Netsu, heat.
何かわかるか。
ギャンブル？
It's as useful as it is dangerous.
やっぱりお前はわかってる。生きることはギャンブルだ。掛け事を嫌悪して俺を振った女は山ほどいるが、奴らは根本を間違え
Can hardly blame them for that.
この社会は大きく腫れない奴と引き際を知らない奴から振り落とされていく。ギャンブルをしない人間なんていないのさ。
That's
憎んでいるのは掛け事ではなく
untrue.
敗北と破滅だ。
They hate the manipulative nature of gambling.
そんな奴知らないね。
Gambling with a capital G, of course.
俺は熱を愛している。熱はギャンブルで、ギャンブルは人生だ。そして愛と支配。
False equivalency. Cool.
俺はゆくゆくファイトクラブでこの国の熱を支配したい。呪霊の存在が公表され、総監部もろくに機能していない今が事業拡大のチャンスだ。あらゆる障害を潰し、来たる呪術規定の改定に乗じてファイトクラブの存在を。
By the way, this whole scene playing out with us keeping not only keeping the camera still, but keeping it like in the doorway, like we're standing in the doorway, is incredible. It's perfect. It fits so well with the smooth, unusual movements of the characters. This whole like this single cut episode, the single cut scene is just absolutely phenomenal. You gonna get it? The boat just looking at it, and he's not gonna pick it up.
じゃあ適当に酒以外で。
弱いのか。
強い弱い以前に未成年。
気にするタイプには見えねえな。知ってるか。五条悟も芸妓なんだ。
五条って誰？
You knew him, huh?
ていうか持って俺は別に。
あの女。
No, I guess knew about him.
五条悟を知らない術師がい
Yeah,
るか。
fair enough.
なんで知らないふりした。
Ooh, interesting. That was very quick on the uptake.
そんな回しもんか。
Well, he's bad at lying, so tell the truth. Not even close.
聞いて。
Oh, just be honest. Whoa, what was?
キララからのテルバンでの着信
What
は
were those?
異常事態の合図なんだよ。
Oh, the call was from Kirara. So that's so, and that's Fiend. That's gonna be next episode. Okay. That was such a cool scene. That was so fun. That was so fun. Just holding that, just in the. Oh, that was great. Oh. Big thing I'm gonna be talking about post-ep is obviously about gambling. It's gonna be super fun. Especially for me as somebody who's inclined towards gambling, let's say. I've never actually been in a casino or anything like that, but we'll talk about more of that in a second. But really interesting, really fun. No wonder this episode felt so short. I guess like the first like third of it was Principal Yaga, right? And whole thing about the puppets saying goodbye to him, which is terrible. And then connecting that to this scene with by having Parkour Panda in both of them, great. Just great direction overall from Akutame's perspective, Akutame's part. And from the also from the director's part, right? Because they're choosing what to put in each episode, so choosing to connect these two disparate things through Parkour Panda is perfect. That episode really did fly by, though. It's incredible. I can't believe it's over. Is there a post-credit scene? No, there's not. That's just it. Crazy. Oh, also, I'm going to be not watching the previews from now on because somebody recommended I stop. If you have your own opinions on it, then just let me know. All right, that was Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, Episode 5. An episode really centered around Parkour Panda and around these... Yeah, around him, basically. Except always tangentially, but he's the connecting thread, right? Like I talked about during the ED. And we finally get, with this first scene, a much deeper dive into how Yaga's technique works and how the whole idea of having these autonomous puppets work. It's possible to have man-made cursed corpses act more autonomously than other forms of manipulation, but even they are limited. But you, who could do something that we haven't seen before, something that is truly autonomous, to continue the Fate references, basically puppets with independent action, they could make an army of them. Because of this skill, rather than execute you, the higher-ups want to designate you as a special grade and basically make you a slave to create their army. Crazy. Opportunistic, smart, but crazy. And then we meet Takeru, this sentient puppet similar to Panda, and we see a whole bunch of other ones in this sort of oasis for puppets, because obviously they can't be seen, they can't be exposed, because then they'll be taken in probably, right, by the higher-ups for testing and all that kind of crazy stuff. And it'll just be a whole different mess, especially after we learn that these are basically replicas of people who have passed, it seems. And we get this guy coming back, absolute legend. And we see this girl who's his sister, who's in the opening. And this is where we learn that his puppets are... Oh, God. Yeah, she recognizes that pose. And like snaps her out of this like psychosis. And then we see Principal Gakuganji again with his... Oh my God. Again, we skip the fight because that's not the important part. But then we get the actual explanation. The part that... The moment we've all been waiting for, you could say. You use the body's information to reproduce the soul's information. Then you place that soul's information in the cursed corpse's core, of which Parkour Panda has 3. But that's still not enough. You have to place cores housing 3 highly compatible souls into a single cursed corpse and make those souls observe each other at all times. So each core has 3 souls. So Panda has 9 souls then? Presumably? That allows them to stabilize so self-awareness can take root. So basically you need to have all 3 basically observing each other and essentially stabilizing each other in a sense. And then it becomes self-aware and is able to produce its own cursed energy after 3 months. And when Gakuganji asks why you didn't say this to save your life, because it's not to save my life. It's not an act of desperation. It's a curse from me to you. This knowledge, this horrible act of not even bringing the dead back to life. This isn't necromancy. This is copying a soul, 3 souls, mashing them into a body and creating this new life, which is, there's so much weirdness and strangeness to it. And it's so clearly like wrong. There's some beauty to it, don't get me wrong. We saw it with the sister, right? There's some beauty in sort of being reunited, but this clearly seems to be Principal Yaga recognizes that this isn't right. She's not actually being reunited with her son. I think it's pretty clear that this was a request. I will get Panda out of here if you do this for me. Because Yaga seems very unhappy about this. I'm sorry. It's what you wanted, but it's still wrong because it's false. It's fake. It's a copy of a soul. It's not really them. But now that he's explained it, they are theoretically able to do it themselves. They get to put that evil upon themselves. That responsibility, the responsibility that comes with that. And that's the curse. The curse of this knowledge, of this horrible, horrible Jujutsu world-changing development. Panda comes and he's not worried about fighting. He's not bound by hatred, by Jujutsu. He's more worried about grieving and mourning his father, basically. You're just the one who carried it out. But pandas cry too. Oh no. My heart. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. And then we get into the main part of the episode. I guess, yeah, that is the first third of the episode, really. Okay, there's a bunch of great cuts in this episode. This one's really fun, just the direction of it, how we're like on the edge. It looks like we're almost a camera on the end of the little pike thing, the gate. And they walk past it. As they do it, Megumi, of course, goes around it because he doesn't care. But Yuji, being the guy who just, I mean, he's not fully like Braun, but this guy's more willing just to like push through things, decides to go straight through it and just casually pulls it out of the way because he's just really strong. And then it like swipes up as he walks under, as he like bends down under it, lets go, and it flings back down. So the camera isn't really on the end of it. It was giving that illusion, but we're like right in front of it. So we get to see this like right in the middle of the screen, cutting it in half. And it's super fun. It's super unusual. So they infiltrate. We're short on time because Tsumiki, this is a show. It's like WWE. You need to put on a show. That's not going to be an issue. I've got the perfect opponent today. The two fight. They get to talk about what's been going on. And Yuji wins. Talk more about the plans, what's going on. And then we get into the best cut of the episode, the best scene of the episode, the single shot of the one take, if you would. Let's see, from 1818 all the way to 22. So almost 4 straight minutes. We just get this hold shot. And it's not just any shot where it's just holding on them just for the sake of it. It's directly in the entrance where Itadori walks in and basically places us in the scene, right? It's not just like over someone's shoulder or like, it's not just placed with both of them on either side of the frame equally. It's very explicitly explicitly positioning the audience in a way that we are indirectly participating in this. We basically walked in behind Yuji. And it looks like this, right? This is what we would see if we were behind Yuji. He walks in and we just kind of hang out by the door. There's this kind of awkwardness and this tension that wouldn't be here if the direction didn't make us a participant, a passive participant in this scene. But because of this framing, we are passive participants. So we get to feel this scene play out. And just to really highlight that, these super smooth animation of these movements, these character acting it just feels slightly off because obviously this isn't the typical animation in anime, but it also makes it feel really smooth and really like in the moment, which again, further pushes us into the scene, which is just really cool. It's really great. And while we're talking about like character acting, before I get into like the big thing about gambling, there's one more thing that I totally forgot about that I have to mention because this is one of my favorite bits of character acting probably in the show so far. And it's just a really small thing, but something I related with and I thought was really fun. Was it here? Or no, it was right here. Right here. So they're just walking down here. We get this cool scene of them walking in the, where we're like kind of in the forest. But before that, right around here, they're both just kind of walking down, doing their thing. But Yuji, with his ADHD brain, isn't happy enough just to walk alongside him. So he walks off to the side, still engaging in conversation, so he can go over to where the rail of the rail on the side of the road is, and he just starts knocking his hand against the rails. He's walking, just dunk, 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 dunk. And I don't know if this is just like a male thing, or maybe it's even just a me thing. I feel like it's not. I feel like this is an everyone thing. You can't tell me you haven't ever been just walking and talking, going down like a road or a sidewalk or anything, and there's like a rail, and you're not just like banging your hand on it casually. You can't tell me you've never done that. And you've been in a position like this. It's just a natural thing you do. Or maybe it's an ADHD thing. I have really strong ADHD. So this is something that it just tickled me. I thought it was just really fun. And so it really doesn't matter for the scene. It really doesn't matter. But it's just great character acting. And it's so perfect for Yuji that it's so appreciated. And I couldn't have it go unmentioned. But with that, we need to go into the main discussion part of this episode. The discussion of passion and gambling. And he starts it, he kind of leads into this tense topic about this controversial talk about gambling by talking about swindlers, which is a pretty good lead in. It's equally less controversial. Swindlers are obviously just kind of universally frowned upon, but it's something that we all have experienced with like scam callers, right? And he uses this idea of passion, of money, to shift into what he really wants to talk about, gambling. Life is a gamble. Loads of women have dumped me because of gambling, but they don't get it. Our society throws out those who can't bet big and those who don't know when to fold. Our society throws out those who can't bet big and those who don't know when to fold. Those who don't know when to walk away, to quit while they're ahead. And those who are too afraid to make a big bet. Our society, I think, is... Let's bring out the Into the Spider-Verse. Let's... God, I can't believe I'm doing this again. It's a metaphor for capitalism, right? Our society doesn't really care about those who aren't ambitious and those who aren't willing to quit while they're... Simultaneously, those who are ambitious, willing to put big money on the table, and also quit while they're ahead. And when to quit when they're behind, right? When they lose. They don't know when to fold when they lose. Like, I'm not going to win this, but I'm not going to keep pushing it because I know I've lost. So I'm going to move on to the next thing, and I'm going to bet big. It's something you see in trading a lot, in day trading, like with the stock market, which a lot of people think is gambling. And to a lot of people, and for most people, it kind of really is. It's incredibly, incredibly hard to make day trading not gambling, really. Irrelevant. The point is, you put money on the table and you have stop losses. You have points where you are not going to where you are going to fold. I'm not going to win this. I'm going to cut my losses to minimize what I lose. Because I have such big money on the table, I have a lot to lose, so I'm going to not push my luck. But I'm still going to bet big. I'm still going to be ambitious. I'm still going to put it all on the line for those big wins, because that's what rewards you in life, right? That's where it gets you, that's what gets you the success and truly places you above your peers. It's you putting on that big money. There isn't a single person who doesn't gamble. Fair enough. Life is a gamble. What people hate isn't the gambling, it's losing and being ruined. Some people just want to live a peaceful life. I don't know anyone like that. They don't exist. I don't know it, they don't exist. So, this is wrong, right? I mean, this part in itself is not wrong. People do hate losing and being ruined, obviously. But that's not what people hate about gambling. Whether they have or whether they haven't doesn't matter. What people hate about gambling is the fact that gambling is tilted. It is specifically and expressly and perfectly designed and optimized to milk money out of people by giving them the illusion of winning. Most, especially in casinos, but it's representative in basically all gambling, right? In microtransactions in like mobile games, they give you certain odds of gaining things just enough to pull you in so you can spend more money in something that is going to be a net loss for you. In the casino, they will expressly give you wins, small wins, especially at the beginning, to draw you in and make sure to feed you these wins in order to keep you invested and keep you wanting to win. However, you will always end up losing more money than you make because that is how they're designed. The house doesn't always win, but the house always wins in the end. That's what people hate about gambling, right? It's not about losing. It's not about the fact that people can ruin their lives. That is something hateable about gambling. It is the fact that it is not that it can ruin people's lives, that is designed to ruin lives. Slowly, surely, siphon them of everything they have. It is that maliciousness, that vileness, that malignance. That is what is hateable about gambling. And obviously that gambling is different from life being a gamble, right? Passion is gambling, gambling is life. False equivalency. Passion is not gambling. Gambling is not life. First one, passion is gambling. I can see these statements on their own seem to make enough sense, right? Gambling is putting big money on the table, right? It's putting yourself out there. It's doing these big bets. And even if it's not casino, even if it's like life, putting yourself out there, right? Starting a business, that's gambling. It's a gamble. A gamble. It's passionate. You have to put enough energy in. Gambling is inherently an energetic and enthusiastic thing, which is passion. So passion is not gambling. Passion and gambling are both intertwined. It's difficult to have gambling without passion. But this is a false equivalency because all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, right? All gambling has passion. Not all things that are passionate are gambling. Same thing goes for the second part. Gambling is life. No, you said so yourself earlier. Life is a gamble. Now, we could even argue here whether life actually is a gamble or not. I would argue to a degree, yes. And depending on your definition, life is a gamble, right? Every day you wake up, you are gambling whether you are going to be hit by a meteor. If you go outside, what if the plane drops some freaking chemicals in the air? And if you'd stayed inside, you would have lived. You are technically gambling with the universe every second you're alive. So I would say there's not a whole lot of connection here. Life is a gamble. But the phrasing is important here because life is a gamble sounds like the same thing as gambling is life, but they're not, right? Life is a gamble and gambling is life are not the same thing. Life can be a gamble. Rectangles can be squares. But if you say gambling is life, that means life is gambling. Life is gambling is different from life is a gamble. Because there are aspects of life that are not gambling. Life itself is not gambling. engaging in life is gambling. That's why life is a gamble, but life is not gambling. This is a false equivalency. These are both false equivalencies because they're just not true. They're not actually equal, but he is presenting them as if they are, right? That's that cognitive fallacy in a nutshell. And it's just not quite wrong. And love is control. Here's another one. I mean, I don't need to explain this one. That's a whole different thing, right? That one's too easy to disprove. But it could be an interesting discussion on its own, but I'm not going to focus on it because it's not really the focus here too much. Though it is a little interesting. I'll mention it a little bit because it says a lot about his character. The idea that he wants to basically control people, control systems, like his Fight Club and the nation, as an expression of his love, in a sense, twisted love, you could say. So it is interesting, but that's a whole other can of worms to open up that I'm not going to be doing right now. So then they keep talking. He brings up Gojo. Yuji trying his best to play the part of the oblivious person who's Gojo. But that's the trap. Everyone knows who Gojo is. You're clearly lying. You must be my enemy. Uh-oh. And then we get a little hint of his impact frame of his technique, where he's like changing his hands and creating like doors, or he's maybe summoning doors in certain locations, depending on his hand position, which is really interesting. It's really cool. And we start this like little mini fight scene, again, holding this camera angle that's still staying here. So this tension increases. Yeah, he moves his hand. He like summons doors and then moves his hands, and the doors move similarly to his hands. Really interesting. Oh, it jumps up and knees him in the face. Bang, bang, and then he closes it on him. Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool. I can't wait to see that more in the future. Bang, punches him, knocks him to the ground. And then we finally break this here. We finally break the this one-shot scene, basically. Going over to the cameras tilted from like Yuji's perspective. Or not even from Yuji's perspective, because they both come in here, but basically on the ground. It's almost like we got knocked to the ground right next to Yuji. And they both butt heads, building up the tension that's been building all the scene. It's exploding right now, right? The two literally butting heads. Bam, over his shoulder with Yuji looking angry. You want to fight? Or what does he say? Listen to me. Hell no. And then we go over his shoulder, and then we do the zoom in, just building that anticipation, that excitement, that boiling over. My passion's gone cold. And then we end it off there. Super freaking fun. What a great episode. What a really fun episode. I think I'm going to leave it off here. My throat's dying because I still need to get back into these things. So I'm sorry I didn't get to the thing in the prep, and I'm definitely not going to get to it here because I'm going to need to give my throat a rest. I'll probably be uploading that bit about how my perspective on the entire show basically has shifted thanks to Max Godard. I'm going to have that be a separate video, likely sometime this weekend, maybe like Sunday or something like that, or Monday. We'll see how it goes, but look forward to that. And I'm sorry, Max, I know you've probably been looking forward to hearing this in the prep and a lot of other people too, but it'll be its own standalone video. Hopefully that's enough compensation in a sense for not bring it up here. So regardless, that's going to end it off here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you appreciate it too, please do leave a like and leave a comment with something that you enjoyed about it, whether it's something in the episode that I missed or something I overlooked, misinterpretation, I have them all the freaking time, or something that I said that you agree or disagree with. Let me know. I read every single one without exception. And if it's really good and if it's like the best one I see in the comment section, it'll be in the comment spotlight for next episode. So I'm looking forward to reading your comment down there. Of course, go ahead and subscribe if you want to be notified of every time these new ones come out. It helps you out just as much as it helps me. So everyone wins, right? Subscribing is not a zero-sum game. But if you really want to help both of us out even more, hop on Patreon. Lets you get access to the uncut reactions, or not uncut, but the unfiltered reactions, as well as the bonus on the polls and little updates I have that I won't be posting to YouTube. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But regardless, whatever you end up doing, the most important thing is that you're here, you're watching, you're engaging with this community, and you are helping me build out real value with this show, which is my main mission, and it's what I've been doing and what I'm so proud of this community for. So thank you again. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And until then, have a lovely rest of your day.